Well, hello.
How we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, 2 seconds, I lost sound.
You lost sound? You all right? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Davey's sorting his sound. Yeah, he's sorting his sound. Good evening, everyone. Wonderful that you can join us tonight. Tartan Tunes, Scottish Sessions time. We're going to have a wonderful tonight. I'm looking really forward to this. 2 fantastic guests. You hear me again, Davey?
Yeah, sorry about that. Anything that can go wrong today has went wrong, so.
Has it? Ah, no. You've been at a pipe band practice. What went wrong there?
I turned up. I should have just left it.
I remember turning up one night in my pipe major saying, I thought you couldn't make it tonight. That made me feel really welcome. He didn't seem happy.
What he meant was he hoped you couldn't make it out.
Yeah, I know. Oh no, it's this guy that blows flat D's again. Here he is. So anyway, wonderful that so many folk can join us out there tonight. Absolutely fantastic numbers already. Mm-hmm. But please, as we say in our little intro, please like it, share it, and put it about all the place. That's great. That's what we want the show to go about. We've got great guests tonight for you. We've got Tony Rees coming on from South Africa tonight. We're very international, and we've got Seamus O'Sullivan, the accordion player, coming on. Seamus lives in Glasgow, but specialises in playing accordion for all the Irish dancing all over the world. We are going to have a fantastic time here. This is going to be great. Really interesting finding out about bits and pieces. What have you been up to this week?
Not a lot. Most.
How's the new kitchen coming along?
New kitchen goes in on the 6th, so I've got another week yet, but it was just clearing things and binning things. And it's amazing what you find in your cupboards.
That's what I forgot to say. Comments, folks. We want loads and loads of comments.
Oh, not too many.
Yeah, we do. Keep Davey busy. And if you want to ask any of the guests questions as well, put the comments in. We're quite happy for you to do that or want to ask us anything as well. And remember, let us know when you are. Carol was letting us know she was in Dundee. There was Isabel. There's Doug Will. I wonder how Perry Hamish is doing. Remember, I wrote the tune for Hamish, Ross McNaughton's nephew.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
He's
Nice
not
to
at
see you,
TV now,
Doug.
is he?
He'll not be so wee now. No, he'll be a bigger Hamish. Slightly bigger Hamish. But I'm not changing the title of the tune.
Hamish is bigger.
Hamish a wee bit bigger. There we go. Catherine Roon, there's Dick Hamilton. Fantastic. Nice to see everybody tuning in. I've been back at school this week. It's been a bit just, it's just what it is nowadays. Done a gig yesterday. Done a gig with a band. First time in 18 months that we've seen each other. In fact, I sent the guys a photo of myself on my mobile before I left the house and said, "This is me, chaps, in case you don't recognise me." It's the last time I was out, I had a beard, and I thought, they're going to walk past me or something like that. You know?
You should have worn like a yellow flower in your top, something like
that. Yeah, I'm the one with the yellow flower. Anyway, listen, I've recorded a wee couple of tunes tonight. Now, you will know all about these tunes because there was a collection came out, the Stout collection, that very book, and you done all the design for it, didn't you?
I did that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a beauty. And that is obviously the front. I've got one here. Look at that. Gold leaf. I want a gold leaf book somewhere. That's a cracker of the Macehow Dragon on the back as well. Isn't it? Isla and Jim Stout, daughter and father. Father and daughter, whatever way you say that. Brought the book out. It's got loads of good tunes in it. Marches, hornpipes, jigs, reels. Davey, you done all the design with your company and put it all together for them, and it's a fantastic wee collection. Some great tunes. So what I thought was I'd record a couple on the box, just for a wee change. So the first one is the Exploding Haggis Soup, and that's Isla's tune. And the second one is Rolling the Pentland, isn't it?
You sure?
Can't mind now. I had this all rehearsed, and
you rehearse?
Yeah, I do rehearse sometimes. And I can't find it. Is it Rolling on the Pentland or Rolling the Pentland? Oh man!
Check the front with the contents.
Oh yeah, you put a contents on this when you designed it, didn't you? That's right. Rolling the Pentland. I was right the first time. Right, the Pentland is the Pentland Firth. That small section of water between the north of Scotland and Orkney. And it can get pretty rough from time to time.
From mainland Scotland to the closest Orkney island, how many miles?
Probably about 1.5 or something.
7.
Oh, is it? It's more than that. Okay. That's still a fair bit to swim.
Depends if you're a fish or not.
What's it is in the Pentland Firth anyway, because it does roll. So rolling the Pentland really makes sense to me. There's Rab joining us tonight. So this is 2 hornpipes by the Stouts. I just called it the Stouts hornpipes. So we'll have a wee listen to this.
There we go.
cracking tunes. So if you fancy some new tunes, there's a wee book to get a hold of, the Stout Collection. There we go. I forgot to edit that bit of speaking off there, but it didn't matter. I was going to say the same. If you want some new tunes, folks, get a hold of the Stout Collection. And as Davey's just put up, it's available on the Stout Collection Bandcamp. You can go and get that book from there. Don't worry about scribbling things down, as we always say, it's always recorded. You're going to say something there? You looked like you were going to.
Bill, no.
No, okay.
No, I think we're good.
Brilliant. So, cracking tunes, though. Really nice swingy tunes, that too. Very nice. That second one, I could really hear that going into a competition circle. Really, really nice. So, if you fancy a copy of the book, please get in touch and we'll send you one out. Oh, nice. A few folk. Speaking about my accordion with the black keys, that's courtesy of the Squeezebox shop. There we go. Squeezebox shop. Tom Cruikshank and Eleanor, his wife, and I get to try out the new accordions. So that's how I got away with that one.
Is it a new one?
Brand new one, yeah.
Brand new one.
Brand new.
So you've ruined it.
Yeah, well, I'm teaching it how to speak Scottish. It spoke Italian before. I'm just kind of breaking it in.
Remind me, what's your dog's name?
Luna.
Where's that from?
Is that Italian? Oh, well, see, you know a lot better than I do. That's great. Right, listen, really looking forward to this. This gentleman, we have met over the internet, myself and him. You and our next guest have actually met in person before in Switzerland.
I think I bought him a drink. Or
You bought him a drink. Did he buy you one back?
Don't know.
We don't have to bring him one.
Probably.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on all the way from Cape Town in South Africa, Pipe Major Tony Rees. Am I bringing Tony on?
Yeah.
That's right, I forgot about that. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Davey. Hi, Davey. Peter, how you doing?
How are you doing, sir? We're good. How are you getting on out there?
Very well, thank you.
And you were telling me just before we went on air earlier on, you've actually got snow in the mountains just now.
Yes, can you believe it? At this time of the year?
Unbelievable. Yeah,
it is.
So how do you have a special barbecue menu for snow in the hills?
Well, regardless of the weather, you call it a barbecue, we call it a braai.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So regardless of the weather, we still braai. Because
I saw some cracking photos of you and Bob Worrell the other day, sitting looking like you were having a great big barbecue going.
So, that was back in 2009.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Bob over tutoring or something? Or?
He gets invited on a number of occasions to help with judging. Yeah, we like to, for our competitions, we like to bring international judges here. Well, that is our PBASA, the Pipe Bands Association of South Africa.
Okay.
And so Bob gets invited quite often. And in 2009, I got a call from the president of the Pipe Bands Association saying that Bob has never been to Cape Town and we'd like to send him down. So I said, yeah, all right, what next? So they said, well, can you host him? So that's exactly what we did. And so we taught him how to braai, South African braai.
Braai.
And
okay.
And then of course you had we got a local drink called it's called a Springbokkie. It's got it's South African colours like a cream and a green sort of colour splits, and of course we introduced that to Bob, which he loved. I think you saw the photo. Yeah.
Tell me, is that what all your rugby players drink that makes them so good as well? Then
I would reckon that. Yeah.
I take it the New Zealand team just drink Guinness and All Blacks.
Yeah.
Our lot just get plastered in malt whiskey or something.
Well, yeah.
Never mind.
Oh,
But
yeah.
listen, we're going to speak about lots of these things. It's interesting you saying about the South African, pipe band association, etc., because I'm sure a lot of our viewers all over the world were pretty unaware, for a start, that there's even pipe music and pipe bands going on in South Africa. And this is the wonderful thing we're finding out with this small world with the internet, and that there's music going on all over the place in this little pockets all over the world, which is quite amusing sometimes when you find out you've got a pipe. I can't remember. One of the adjudicators told me he'd been out the army lads judging at a pipe band competition in Pakistan once or something. I can't remember how many bands he told me there was. There was away about 80 bands or something like that. It was incredible. It was just amazing. I don't know what they sounded like, but there was 80 bands. So there we go. But listen, I think we should have a wee tune for yourself. We're going to start off with a couple of 3/4 marches here, which you've very cleverly done a bit of double tracking on with some lovely harmonies in. Can you tell us the first tune? What's the first tune in this set? This is
Jim Thompson of Flagstaff.
Right.
I fell for this tune. It was just by chance. I was on YouTube, and you've heard of the Great Lakes Pipe Band I think they're from the United States.
Yeah.
And this one chap, I think he must have been like the main piper in the front rank, and he had a webcam. And so just before they marched on to the starting line, so he had set his camera, and this was their warm-up tune.
Oh, yeah.
And then I heard the harmonies, and I think the harmonies actually blow. It really makes this tune.
No,
and I never had the music for it, so transcribed the stuff and did the harmonies as well. And since then, I introduced it to my band, and now we play it on a regular basis. But it's a beautiful tune.
Yeah, really nice. And the second 3/4 is Castle Dangerous. And Castle Dangerous is actually in South Lanarkshire. It was Douglas Castle. My father worked for Douglas and Angus Estate as a gamekeeper all his life, so I was brought up about 6 miles away from Castle Dangerous. And it's one of my favourite 3/4s to this day still as well. So here we go. Let's have a wee listen to Tony and Tony's ensemble here. I was going to say Tony's band, and it is Tony's band. It's all him. Some 3/4s. Enjoy, folks. great stuff. Lovely. Really, really nice. Really
I
nice.
recognize the top. I recognize the top he was wearing there.
All right, okay.
Do you know who wrote that, Tony?
Eh?
Do you know who wrote the first tune?
No, I don't know who wrote it.
Robert Watt.
Oh,
He used to play with RAF Halton.
All right.
okay.
And
Yeah.
Jim Flagstaff is Jim Thompson Flagstaff. He's from Arizona, and he does this in a school that Robert Watt taught at in the States. And I wrote the tune for him.
Oh wow! Well, I tell you, it's a great tune. It really is a great tune.
We played that going when we were coming down the Mall, RF 100 with Cast Dangerous. Then Jim Thompson. So that was,
Oh, brilliant tunes. Well,
Wow.
both cracking tunes. Yeah, very, very good.
Wow.
Tony, you are born and bred South African. How did this happen? How did you end up playing bagpipes?
Yeah, well, I'm not from Scottish descent at all. Okay, so but I went to Christian Brothers College. Now, in those days, I mean, we're going back to in the 1970s, but those years we had a lot of school bands had pipe bands, and Christian Brothers College was one of them, and well, that's where I picked it up because I think the uniform, the music just appealed to me when I was young, and I decided to go for it. And then 1975 was my first parade for the school band.
Right.
Okay, so 1975, and then 1977 when I was in matric, I was elected pipe major of the band.
Okay.
And but that was, I didn't know, I had no idea about the piping world, what was happening in Scotland or wherever. I had no clue, nothing.
No.
I just thought, I'm just playing this instrument, I'm playing this band, it's awesome. Okay. And then after school, I did not touch bagpipes for 13 years.
All right.
And I didn't listen to any music, nothing to that effect, absolutely nothing. Until in 1990, just by chance, I was at a school fete and I saw this pipe band come marching on. And then I said, hey, wait a minute, I used to play this instrument. This is now after 13 years. Now, in that 13 years, I was sort of like a semi-professional footballer. So I was totally focused on sport, But anyway, so I saw this band coming and I thought, oh, well, let's give it a go. So I decided to join. It was a military pipe band, the Cape Field Artillery Pipes and Drums. And they were actually just based down the road from where I stayed. And so I decided to join them. And I did that in 1990, the 5th of November, 1990. That's where it started. Okay. And so I was with the military pipe band for about 10 years until there was a private pipe band. Then I found out there are other pipe bands as well. And there was another pipe band in Cape Town called the Cape Town Caledonian Pipe Band. Wow. And they approached me to come to their practices and see what it's like. And in other words, a little bit of bait. They wanted me to join them. And
I think that is something that we're not really aware of. A lot of people are not aware of how many bands you're talking about here already. You're talking about 2 or 3 bands straight away. And everybody's thinking, there'll just be one band in South Africa. But there's obviously a number of bands. Yeah,
well, I think I did a count the other day, and I think there's plus or minus 25 pipe bands. That's including school pipe bands in South Africa.
Wow. That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, we have the northern part of South Africa. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but we call it, it's Johannesburg area, Transvaal, Johannesburg. Mm-hmm. That's about what 1,000. No, it's about a 11-hour drive from Cape Town to Joburg, plus minus 12 hours. But it's altitude's quite high up there. we're looking at what, 6,000 feet above sea level. Okay, so but the bulk of our bands are from the north, from the Johannesburg area, Pretoria area. And
that must be quite interesting going about South Africa if you had to go about different places, tuning wise and things, if the altitude's changing
absolutely.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We find it a massive problem. The bands from the coast that travel north to the Johannesburg area for competitions and that type of thing, always have issues tuning the pipes. The fact that the air is so much thinner up there.
Yeah.
And you can speak to the likes of a Robert Madison, Bob Worrell. They've been there. They've actually experienced that altitude, and it's not nice at all.
Wow.
You know. But I love it. I love it here in Cape Town. We've got quite a moist Mediterranean climate down here. And every time I've been to Scotland, taking part in the Edinburgh Tattoo, for example, I have never had any issues tuning. My pipes have always been humming.
Just what yeah. Apart from the torrential rain every second night.
Yes. I've experienced quite a few of those.
I never managed. The one thing I always remember at the Edinburgh Tattoo, one night I was there, it was so wet, was the whitening off the spats of the folk. You could just see the white lines going down the cobbles, you know. It's amazing. Yeah. Just amazing. Listen, I think we've got lots to speak to you about, but we've got lots of music here as well. I think our next track that we've got from you tonight is an air and some reels, and quite a wee pile of reels, actually. So I think we'll just go straight in and have a listen, and we'll talk about it afterwards. How's that sound? That sounds good. Let's go, guys. great stuff, great stuff. It's a lovely air that at the beginning as well. Really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look, you're getting lots and lots of nice comments. That's lovely.
I recognise one or two names over there.
Yeah, it's great fun when everybody comes in and out. It's always good fun. So did you say? It's interesting actually. I was just thinking one thing you said there about being at school and the uniform and all that appealing to you. That's something that always appealed to myself as well. And Davey and I were speaking about it earlier with the pipe books. And I was saying one thing that always stood out to me as a youngster were the Scots Guards books. You used to look at that first half dozen pages with all the pictures on and think, wow.
Yes, yeah.
And it was just as appealing sometimes as it was to actually have to get the tune learned that you were supposed to learn. But and I used to love doing that. And did you say you were a semi-professional footballer as well? I have noticed over the time that you're a Man City fan, I've noticed this. So.
Yeah. Always been.
Yeah.
Always
I thought it was
been.
Man United.
What's that?
I thought it was Man United.
No, come on. he should know better when he's in Dundee.
At least we've got a decent team up here, unlike
That's it. So, did you play football then? Like you said, you were a semi-professional.
Yeah, I played football. But quite a coach was Scottish. He's an ex-professional from Scotland, Billy Anderson. And we've got a number of Scottish folk down here that actually stay down in Cape Town.
Right.
And there's like a Scottish club, all ex-footballers, professional players, they get together once a year, and I get the phone call, bring the pipes. I tell you, you've got to bring the pipes, you know. Yeah. So now I played football against some of these chaps and those is when we did play against each other. We try to kill each other on the field. And now it's totally different. Like, you know, they lay the red carpet when I arrive with those bagpipes. It's so precious, you know. Yeah.
It's amazing when you think of the things that pull us all together, and bagpipes always seem to be there, don't they? Anything at all. And obviously you've been involved a lot with a lot of ceremonial stuff.
Yes.
With the bands that you play with as well, because I noticed that in some of the pictures you sent me. So have you played for quite a few bands in South Africa now then? Well,
yeah, the story goes there. When I left Cape Field Artillery, I joined the Cape Town Caledonian Pipe Band. A year later, they asked me to take over the band as pipe major, which I did do. And that was in 2000. I'm still a pipe major of the same band today. So that's quite a few years, you know, under the belt. But in that time, it was in 2003, I think it was, the Cape Field Artillery Pipe Band called me back just to help him out. So I was like pipe major of that band as well for a period of 5 years. So I was running both bands, the Cape Town Caledonian Pipe Band and Cape Field Artillery. And that was
what kind of numbers did you have in these bands? Were they big bands or?
Yeah, well, we're looking at about 24, 25, 26 piece pipe band.
Right. Okay.
Around about there, if I remember well. We had about 12 pipers, 4 sides, and 10 of close to 20, 24. Okay,
it's a full band, right? Really good.
Yeah. Well, see, the beauty about Cape Town, you won't believe it. We have 3 military pipe bands in Cape Town.
Okay.
And you've got, as I said, you've got the Cape Field Artillery. You've obviously heard of the Cape Town Highlanders. I mean, they've been here for many, many years. And the next part of my story is after 2008, being pipe major of Cape Field Artillery, I left them again, continued with the Cape Town Caledonian Pipe Band, and I was approached by another military regiment, the Cape Garrison Artillery. Now, this regiment has never ever had a pipe band or military band, never. And the officer commanding was so adamant to build up this pipe band he dreamed of, and he asked me if I would do that. And I eventually accepted the challenge, and then around about 2014, it was officially accepted. So the Cape Garrison Artillery Pipe Band is operating today. Wow. Very young band. It's very young, but the thing, it's an anti-aircraft regiment. So you've got Cape Field Artillery, which is artillery, ground artillery. You've got Cape Garrison Artillery, which is air artillery, and then Cape Town Highlanders, which is an infantry regiment. Right. So, and I must say, look, we are situated right down south of South Africa. We actually isolated from everything. You know, as I said, the bulk of your pipe bands are up north in Johannesburg area. So when it comes to competitions and that type of thing, it's difficult for us to go because it costs so much. It costs a hell of a lot of money to take a band to a competition, especially the competitions that's worth our while would be a champion or champions competition. Yeah. Okay, so those are, and we have 3 of them. And the ones up the coast, Durban area, which is Manzimtoti, which is about a 20-hour drive. Okay. Yeah. So it's either you drive, travel 20 hours on the road, or you can fly. But the thing is, when you fly, it costs so much more. Then it's hiring of vehicles on the other side. You still got to organize accommodation. So it works out to be quite a bit of money. So when we have that opportunity that we can travel, so we've managed to, after doing some gigs, we've accumulated some money, and we can afford to go. Then we tackle a competition. So we very seldom travel to competitions because it's not possible.
Do you have a grading system if there's 25 bands, or do you just all play in one grade? Or?
No, we have everything's graded. It's exactly like the pipe bands association of Scotland, but our grading only starts from grade 2. So it's grade 2, 3, 4, and then of course you've got your juvenile and you've got your novice juvenile. So because our top bands are not really grade 1 material. Yet we have a number of good individual pipers that's actually left our shores, and they've joined a couple of bands in Scotland, in Australia, New Zealand, but these are exceptional pipers. They're really good. So, but in general, our level is grade 2. Our highest grading is, and
fantastic. It's still amazing. It's still amazing. Tell me, this next little track we're going to listen to is you again. Now, this is a little collaboration because you're playing with a church organ in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me a wee bit about that. How does this come about then?
Well, funny enough, this goes back to my school days. And my very first vinyl I ever bought was the Red Hackle in concert.
Oh, yeah.
And the Red Hackle. And at that time, I think they were world champions. And the pipe major, it was Jim Weatherston. And on this vinyl, on the one track, had this air into these waltzes, and I just fell for this, and I said to myself, if one day when I can do it, I will do it. And of course, when you contacted me, I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to get this thing done.
So you just done this recently then? This is just fairly recently?
I did it recently, Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I've got a youngster in my band, James. Now, he's a musician, a guitarist, singer, and he plays the bagpipes as well. Now, he's actually behind everything. He puts everything together, the video, the audio, and all that. He's phenomenal. And he actually did this for me.
Tony, that's like Davey with me.
Yeah.
I can come with an occasional idea, and Davey puts it all together for me.
Yeah.
You know the saying about old dogs, new tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's have a listen. This is great. You'll enjoy this, folks.
There we go.
Fantastic, sir. Well done. Lots and lots of comments coming on there, keeping Davy Hunter moving.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Making me work on a Sunday.
Fantastic, yeah, everybody loving it. Great, well done, Tony. So, very. I think we could have spoke for ages here again as well. But one thing you mentioned to me earlier was that your wife teaches Highland dancing as well.
She does. Yes, she does.
Yeah. So do you get hauled in to play for lots of that as well then?
Yeah, I try to get in there and she says no.
Oh, well, that's unusual. Usually they let us in. But that's... So how did that start? That's very Scottish in South Africa as well. Like.
Yeah, very much so. Years ago, Scottish Highland dancing and Irish dancing was quite big in this country.
Right.
It's actually withered away a bit now. A lot of the youngsters, as they finish school, they head overseas and that type of thing. The same with the piping community. We lose a lot of youngsters as soon as they matriculate. They tend to want to go overseas, and so the Highland dancing has been going on for a very, very long time. I think my wife, she started it from at the age of 4.
Wow.
And and eventually became a South African Highland dancing champion. So and she's been over. She's spent time in Scotland. I think she spent 6 months in Scotland, competing and learning from various teachers and that.
Just before you, Tony, do the comment.
Yeah.
Just read.
Yeah, see that one.
That's who you think it is.
Mr. Phil Cunningham's just sent you a comment saying,
"Oh,
wow, that's great to have Phil on the show. That's wonderful." Phil and Ali Bain were up here playing about a week ago, and I got stuck with fog for flying home, so that to share a cabin in the boat together.
They loved it.
I did note there was a bottle of amber nectar sitting on the table in the cabin. It's probably got.
But
it's absolutely right. Lovely tunes.
Yeah, it's such a small world. Dave, you'll agree to this. I heard a bit of a story. Maybe you can enlighten me on this. Dunton Darkness.
Yeah. Yes.
You know who that comes from?
Oh, probably Robert.
Yeah, no, he's dead.
Yeah.
David.
So I played it, but when playing the band back in when I joined the band, there was 2 of us called Dave, and we couldn't just call both of us with DH or initials. So one guy was drum major at the time called Dave Harkness, so he became Darkness, and I was Dave Hunter, so I became Dunter, and that's stuck. That's now 2007. That's a long time. That's about 14 years. That name stuck. And Darkness played with yourself, didn't he, Tony?
That's right. That's right.
Dave moved to Cape Town, and I think, how long was he there for? Was it 10 years?
Yeah, well, I think close to that. Yes.
Yeah, 10 years. Yes. And that's him. He's actually back with us again.
Yeah, you went back. I think was it last year? I think
last year. Yeah, just when he could. Yeah, when he got out of the country.
Yeah.
And do you know what a dunter is in Shetland?
Go for it.
It's a duck. A duck that sits in the sea is a dunter.
Right.
Okay.
It's not bad, I suppose.
Could have been worse. Yeah.
I thought it was worse actually. Yeah, so that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
There's always. I thought you were going to put Davey right on the spot there, Tony. The way you were gearing up to that one, I thought, yes, we've got it. There's Ali Meek saying an Athol Highlander there saying perfect description.
Does he want to do the kitchen or not? We're going to go with another set of tunes. I believe the first one you've just recently written, is that correct? The 6/8 March.
Oh, the 6/8 March, yeah. That was a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm. So that
you'll have to tell us what it's called.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, I must find the name here. Where's it? Yeah. Okay, I've memorized it. Okay, yeah. So, as you know, we have 11 languages in our country. Okay, so this is a Xhosa language. Okay, so what actually happened was 4 months ago, our bass drummer, 24 years old, his name is Wandisile Dalasile, had a tragic accident, a hit and run.
Oh.
And that was him. And he was a promising youngster coming through our band. Wonderful, wonderful character. And we obviously took this very hard. And I thought he deserved a tune to be written, you know. So the translation is farewell to Wandisile Dalasile. So now try pronounce the African name to that. It is something to the effect of Sia Kakuhle Mfowethu Wandisile Dalasile. Sia Kakuhle Mfowethu Wandisile Dalasile.
Okay.
It's almost as bad as trying to learn Gaelic names, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's a fantastic tune. But you follow up that with a tune that the name's got a kind of a familiar name to it. Pipe Major Tony Rees.
Oh, that one. yeah, that one. That goes back to out on there 2011, Davey. Because I was guesting with the South African Irish Regiment at the Basel Tattoo, and we had taken centre rank alongside the Scots Dragoon Guards. Okay. And next to me was this young 18-year-old piper, and you all know him very well, Carl Stewart Howie. So the fact that every time we went on, he was always next to me, we started chatting, and we became friends during the 2 weeks that we were there. And we kept in touch after that. And he sent me a surprise tune that he had just composed called Pipe Major Tony Rees, 6/8 March. Yeah, which is quite an honor to receive it from him. And it was weird. The one evening, I think, Davey, you would have been there in the car spot. Oh yeah, in the car spot where Carl and Ben Duncan gave that solo show there. Absolutely amazing. But the car spot, it's so hot in there, and when they had finished piping, they were drenched, and I was waiting outside with a couple of beers for them. And I think I sent one of those photos to you, Peter. And Carl said to me, he asked me, he says, "Tony, did you enjoy that?" I said, "Bloody hell, of course I did." And he says, "Well, do you think I'll ever make a grade 1 pipe band?" And I looked at him. I said, "You asking me?" I said, "You should be able to walk into any band the way you play, And the strange thing is, 6 months later, he had joined the Red Hot Chili Pipers.
Yeah.
And then a few years later was what's that pipe band that they got together?
Scotland. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Scotland, he's done that. Yeah.
And he played there as well.
That's
An amazing musician. Absolutely amazing musician.
Let's hear these 6 8. Here we go.
Okay.
Fantastic. Is that,
thank you. Thank you.
Just coincidence that the drums were Manchester City colours, was that?
Yeah. That was my wife playing the bass drum and my son playing the snare drum.
Ah, right, okay.
It's a family thing here.
Yeah, smiling. Listen, that was absolutely fantastic. Tony, I can only say thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It's been a pleasure having you on from such a long distance away. We'd love to come and see you someday. It would be fantastic to make our way down there and stick the accordion with me and we'll have a brew.
No.
What did you call it? A brew?
Please don't. Don't bring
What's a barbecue? What's a barbecue? A braai.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Peter. It's really it's an honor to be on your show. The invite was like, wow. No, really, thank you so much. Thank you. And Davey, nice to see you again, my friend.
And you, man. And you.
All the best to you and all the best to you and your family, and take care and stay safe out there.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll speak to you soon, Don. Cheers now. Bye now. Bye. There we go. Absolutely smashing. What a nice man to have on the show. Isn't it wonderful how small the world has become when we're working away with it here?
I wouldn't want to paint it though.
No, I wouldn't want to paint it either. No. But when he was talking about Ben Duncan there, did I notice that I think Ben done quite well in competition the other day there again, didn't he?
We got first place in the Peabroch at Lochaber, therefore he wins the Golden Axe.
Yeah, the Golden Axe, that looks amazing. Yeah, he's getting quite a collection. He's starting to build up there. So, but there we go. Listen, we're raking through time tonight already.
I know.
We're just going to keep flowing with the guests and the music. And our next guest, I've known for a long time now. And he still looks younger than me. Didn't get this. Don't get it, David.
See,
but anyway,
this other week as well.
I know. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, all the way from sunny Glasgow, here is Mr. Seamus O'Sullivan. Hello, Seamus. How are you doing?
Boys. How you doing?
We're good. How are you getting on tonight?
I'm just magic, just sitting about. Oh, that was a great hour. I really enjoyed listening to Tony and his stories and his piping.
Isn't it amazing? It's amazing when it's the other side of the world, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of this as well, because we'll speak about this as we go on, because you've travelled all over the world playing for Irish dancing, and you're bound to have come across other musicians and places that you think, where did this guy come from? And it's strange, isn't it, how we find folk and you think they've just come out of a cupboard somewhere, this guy that can suddenly play the Irish wooden flute or something like that, and you where does he come from?
Absolutely.
You know, it's just amazing. So how are you doing? Are you doing fine? Are you doing all right?
Doing really well. We've had no live music, of course.
Yes.
18 months. It's been quite difficult. All you can do is sit in the house and practice, you know.
Well, you say that, but I've seen a couple of videos of you at care homes outside there entertaining.
Well, there is that. Yeah, outside the house. Outside the house on a Thursday night to clap for the NHS. Yep.
Yeah, but and it's fantastic. I saw you marching along playing the box one night, and I thought, wow, gee whiz, he's brave. I think I tried that once and fell flat on my face. And that was
to be fair, there's places in Glasgow that do it all the time.
Well, okay. Right, but listen, I think, Seamus, what we are going to do here is have a wee bit of music to show all these folks out here. Folks, remember, I meant to say at halftime there, keep tuning in. We've got fantastic figures on tonight. It's staying consistently high the whole night, which is magic. And share it about, let folk know. We've now got Seamus O'Sullivan. You're going to enjoy this. Here's a wee set of reels that Seamus recorded earlier in the week for us. We'll talk about it after we've heard them. Here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, excellent. Fantastic. Bro. All new tunes to me, that, Seamus. What are they ones?
That's 3 tunes. The first 2 are written by myself.
Right.
The first one is called One for Monty. That's a friend of mine, James Montgomery. I used to play accordion with James Montgomery when I was 15 or 16 here in Glasgow, going to the feshes down here. And the two of us, we were young bucks at the time, and we'd be playing a fesh in somewhere like Motherwell or Hamilton, like the outskirts of Glasgow. And the two of us would meet in Buchanan bus station and jump on the bus and up the stairs. And the first thing we'd do is take the boxes out and have a tune. This is about 8:30 on a Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning rather, on the way to a fesh. And we just loved it. And then we lost contact for a number of years, me and James. And then we managed to hook up just a few months ago. And it was like time hadn't passed at all. It was great. So that's a tune for James Montgomery, a good friend of mine. And the second one is called One for Ollie. And Ollie is, he is the baby of the dancer that dances in the Seamus O'Sullivan experience at the Fiddler College. Okay. So Chelsea had a baby called Ollie, and that's Ollie's One. And the third one is actually an Ian Muir tune. Ian Muir tune wrote that for Stuart Cameron, because every time Stuart Cameron goes to a gig, he always gets lost, and he always goes past the gig and he has to turn around and come back. So the tune is called Stuart Birley.
Fantastic. Well, great.
I want to give a wee shout out to the videographer there. That was my sister Monica. She was very patient yesterday with me. She sat up there in the room upstairs, and she did all the recording and the videos that you're going to see later on. She did all the recording. So, Monica, well done.
I'm loving our audience is showing that they're very musically intelligent here to accordions. They've all sussed the new Manfrini there.
Indeed, yes, indeed.
Saying that they really like it. Is that just new? You acquired
it's very new. There's an old uncle of mine who passed away a couple of years ago. He was very proud of the fact I played the accordion. And in fact, when I did what the last Take the Floor broadcast I did in Glasgow way back in 2019, I managed to get Uncle Gerard a pass to go into the BBC, and he went in beside Jennifer Cruikshank, and he was in the booth watching the broadcast being made, and he was chuffed. He was 89 years of age, and he had his BBC pass on his plaid jacket. And in fact, that was one of the pictures we used in his order of service when he died. He left me a bit of money, and I decided to go ahead and get a custom-built accordion. So it's a 35-note right hand. There's an extra F sharp at the bottom of the keyboard. So it doesn't end in G, it ends in F sharp. And it's just perfect. It's perfect for me.
Well, it sounds lovely. It looks abysmal. We'll have to get a shot of that one sometime. The last time I saw you, we played the green one, and I think Davey's shaking his head. Don't let him near it.
I still have that.
I see you've still got the green one. We're going to see him a bit later on as well.
We are, yes.
How did it start for you, Seamus? How come you were brought up in Glasgow, but the Irish side?
Irish descent. Mum and Dad were Irish, and I was born in Glasgow. But one of 9 children, Peter. There's lots of us. Lots of us talking about.
You could have had your own. You could have had your own football team, couldn't you?
8 football teams about right. We had 6 girls and 3 boys, and all 6 girls were sent to piano lessons when they were young, and the boys were given different instruments. And accordion was chosen for me because my dad's brother played the accordion, and that was it. I get sent to lessons.
Okay.
Very quickly realised I could play by ear quicker than I could read music, and I just began to ignore the teacher because I enjoyed what I did, and it just kind of went from there,
So I take it the Irish, obviously, because your parents, etc., the Irish music was obviously getting played, and they were in that circle. So you were hearing Irish music. Were you hearing Scottish music as well, though, in Glasgow as well, and mostly dominated by Irish?
Well, I don't recall listening to Scottish music when I was growing up, but my mother did. My mother was a big fan of Take the Floor, even way back then. And I don't recall sitting down with her and listening to that. But I must have been influenced by the the crispness of the playing in Scottish dance music. I must have been.
Yeah.
And then add into that the twirls of Irish music, you know.
Yes. Well, it's all the embellishments, isn't it, really? It makes
Yes.
it completely distinctive and a completely different style, really. There's things that you do to a tune that I wouldn't do, and vice versa. I wouldn't know how to do it, to be honest. I remember playing piano for you a couple of times about 30 years ago in the accordion club. And I remember you taught me how to play the accompaniment to a slip jig, because at that point in time I had no idea. And you were telling me about, listen, just imagine it's a waltz, but you miss out the middle beat. And I was like, all right, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah, bump, chunk, bump. Okay, all right, okay, well there. But and even then, when you done the clubs, and you talked about that, the Seamus Sullivan experience, when you go to the clubs, you used to always take dancers with you to the clubs as well. It went down a bomb. It went down an absolute bomb. And you still do that to this day.
I still do that to this day,
Yeah.
You know, I've used a number of them. We brought a couple of dancers up to Shetland on more than one occasion for the Fiddle Accordion Festival. It's a great wee turn. It's a great turn in the middle of a
it's magic. Yeah, very entertaining. You know? Here's a wee set of tunes for Seamus this time. I think the Green Box gets it this time. It's Merino Day. Is that in the Park Bar in Glasgow?
The Park Bar in Glasgow. Twice a year, once in kind of March and once in November. And it's just a fantastic day. If you play the box and play a tune, you get a steak pie and chips. You get your dinner for nothing. And it's just great. It's great. Great musicians.
And I love this a wee set of jigs coming for you here. I think it starts off with Rosewood, am I right?
It does indeed. Rosewood, Rixie Kildare, Richard Drennan's favourite, and the Humours of Glendart.
And the Humours of Glendart has got this cracking wee subtle key change at the end of it. It's a beauty.
D to E, you're right there, Peter. Well done.
So watch out for that one, people. Watch out. Here it comes. Right. You'll enjoy this. fantastic thing because you're playing that Irish style, but you're sitting and it's like a dance band lineup basically at the back of it. But it works really well, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it does.
And what was Dave Borthwick saying there? I would need to learn to dance like Seamus. I don't think Seamus actually dances at the same time.
Oh, I'll tell you, hang on a second. Just hang on a second.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank you. I'm one of 9, as I said before, and all of us were offered Irish dancing lessons when we were young.
Right.
And I was the best. And I got 4th in the World Championships when I was 13.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, done you, sir.
Yes.
Playing the accordion at the same time?
No, just not. But the green accordion was blue.
Well,
When I bought it from the Borsini factory, it was light blue to dark blue shading.
yeah.
And after a number of years, maybe 12 or 13 years, there were quite a few cracks in the celluloid. So I decided to take it back to Borsini in Castelfidardo to get it looked at. And there were so many cracks, it was suggested that we're going to have to just repaint the whole thing. So I was with Gary Blair actually on that trip, and he says, why don't you get it done in green? So I sent Giancarlo Borsini 2 shades of green colours, and he repainted the whole thing. So it came back green.
Gee whiz, that was the story of it coming back. I see Gary's been up in Faroe Islands this week.
Has indeed, yes.
I see all these little. He had a video on one day, the whales going past, and I thought,
yeah.
Lucky whales in the Faroe Islands to keep going. But no, Gary's been great as well, and I think actually we're going to see a wee bit with Gary later on as well. You've obviously known each other a long time as well.
But Gary actually taught my son Brian the accordion. We sent Brian to lessons with Gary.
All right. Okay.
But Brian turned out to be exactly the same as me. Didn't like the theory and the sight reading, and just learn by ear.
Yeah, and if that's the way, when you said earlier about composing and that, do you write your own tunes down, or?
I have them all. I have them all written down.
I think you have quite a number of tunes now, don't you?
No, I've got 1 or 2. Yes, 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think you should speak to. I think you'll have to speak to Davey and get a book out, Seamus.
Not enough for a book yet, but possibly. We'll see.
Write a few more.
Peter, free collections going out.
When we talked to, obviously I'm up in Shetland now, but when I knew you to begin with, we were both down south. I was south of Glasgow.
You were in Leslie, weren't you?
Yeah, just even a wee bit further down, Crawford John. Yeah,
Crawford John is right. Yeah.
Wee village, and I've been up here 25 years now in Shetland. But you were coming to Shetland before I even moved here. When was your first year here?
My first year was 1985 or 86.
85, 86.
Yeah,
because
there was a fiddle player, Tony Corcoran from Newcastle, who was supposed to come up to the folk festival and be a musician for Irish dancers, and he couldn't make it. All of a sudden, his plans changed, and he contacted the organisers and said, "Listen, there's this guy in Glasgow, Seamus O'Sullivan. You know, he could step in and play." So I was invited for that year. So that was just the start of an amazing relationship with Shetland for me.
Right.
And then after that, invited back then to the Fiddle Accordion Festival.
So you were up here playing for Irish dancing then?
I was. That was the first thing I did. Was I came up to play for Irish dancing in 1985 or 86, if I remember rightly.
And was that bringing dancers with you, or was that a club up?
The act that was booked was Irish dancing, and the musician, the fiddler, couldn't come. So he put me in his place. And then you
came back up for the festival. Well, we're going to see a wee bit of you at the festival here, and I think we got this sorted tonight, thanks to Brian. He sorted it for you.
Yes, he did, yeah.
Got this out the middle of a big, long video, and it's 1991, I think this is. Yep. So that's 30 years ago. And it's a set of reels, you playing at the Shetland Accordion and Fiddle Festival. And who's playing with you at this one? It was in
the Cullivo Hall. So the Cullivo band were the band of the evening. And I'd asked various people if they would sit around about me and help me. Because when you're playing solo on a stage, especially somewhere like Shetland, when you're playing solo, you feel really, really naked. Yeah. And it's much, much nicer to have people round about you. And if you've got the quality of musicians that you have up there, round about you. It's just incredible. So
Yeah.
Margaret Robertson was the piano player. I mean, that was the first year or 85 was the first year I'd met her. Amazing piano player, amazing.
And Margaret played fiddle on your last Take the Floor broadcast.
She did indeed.
Well,
She was in Edinburgh at the time, and I asked her to join me on Take the Floor 2018. So she was on piano. The late Gordon Jimison on second box.
Oh yeah.
His brother Victor on bass. So it was an amazing concert. It was an amazing 1991.
And you'd have some laugh with Gordon after it as well. That's
oh
for
my
sure.
goodness, what a man! What a man!
He's something else. He was just marvelous man.
I want to interrupt here, please, because prior to this video going up, I very proudly wore an Aaron sweater on stage that year.
Yeah.
I was very proud at the time. It was 1991. I actually knitted that sweater myself.
Did you really?
I did indeed. My mother taught me how to do Aaron, various patterns within Aaron. And I did one for me, one for my wife, and one for my son. So we looked like Val Doonican family.
He's some boy, this, Davey. Fourth on the Irish World Championships dancing, plays the box, can knit jumpers. Gee,
so that was then, not now. That was then.
Well, Davey has now entitled this set the Knitted Jumper Set. So let's hear it. Here we go. This is the Knitted. Yeah, fantastic playing, Seamus, fantastic. That really makes me think. The third tune there, Peter Davidson's really a Shetland tune by Ronnie Cooper, played in a very, very, very Irish style. So do you just decide that embellishments yourself and arrange the tune your own way?
No, well, yes, but I take advice from other Irish players. So I hear a turn or a triple or something from some other Irish player, and I try and work it into a tune that I hear or practice. So
right.
It was actually Karen Tweed is the player who gave me the ending of Peter Davidson's tune. So the ending of part A of the tune. It was Karen Tweed that taught me that. So I remember that from all those years ago. I listen to other players.
You have a great knowledge and wealth of experience working with Irish players as well as Scottish players playing Irish music, if you can what I mean. You've got your own radio show now as well. You've got Radio GH.
Radio GH is correct, yes. Derek Hamilton, Ewan Galloway, Radio GH. So that's a big 24/7 station that is Scottish music. And Derek Hamilton actually produced and mastered and mixed all the CDs that I ever made for Irish dancing all those years ago. And they were all recorded down at Derek Hamilton's place. So he contacted me and he said, "Do you fancy doing a wee Irish show in the middle of the week?" So it's a show called A Touch of Irish. And the first show goes out on a Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. and then it's repeated at various different times.
I was actually listening to it this morning.
There you go.
It was on this morning, and you must have a fantastic collection then of Irish players playing music as well. Then, because there's a lot of people here would know 2 or 3 of the Irish Gaelic bands, and that would be it, kind of style thing. But I really like the way you present the show, that you tell a bit of history about the player that you're playing and finding out a wee bit about them. And I think that's really, really important because the more we get, it's like doing a wee show like this tonight. People are getting to know you that little bit better.
That's right.
Have possibly only ever heard you playing music, and then they get to know the person, and then they see that the person influences the music they play as well. And that's very much. Davey, you'll find that with the piping as well. We've seen that with piping.
Yeah, it's always something that
character comes through.
When you find the character, you realise why things are written and why things are played a certain way and all that sort of jazz. But it's always the best. Always good with that.
I find that interesting when you say you'd learn an embellishment and hear somebody and then basically look for somewhere to put it in.
That's right. That's
excellent. We're going to hear a wee quick waltz, and then I'm going to speak to you a lot more about the Irish dancing. A wee waltz. This is actually a Scottish one.
It is.
Mickey and Jimmy. Mickey Ainsworth and Jimmy Blue, wasn't it? Ian Powrie wrote this one.
That's right, yeah.
And this tune fascinates me. I always remember the late Jim Halcrow saying to me as well, the second part of this tune, he says, is it French or is it Swedish or something like that? Is it Scandinavian? And I thought, I'd never thought about it before. I just played it kind of style thing. But when you hear the second bit, it has got wee Scandinavian sounds in it as well.
It might be part 3, Peter, in B flat, and there's a
there's a
B flat, and there's a kind of a D and an A7 in there. It's just
that throws on it.
It really, my goodness, if you gave that to a piano player that didn't have the chords, you find it,
Actually, it was like that set of tunes you played there, the last one in Colourbo. It was at the second reel, the second part of that.
That's right.
There's a nasty chord. There's a nasty chord down there.
I had all the chords written. The chords written out for Margaret and Victor.
It's like busking a set of Gaelic waltzes. It never ends well.
No chance.
Never ends well. But anyway, here's Mickey and Jimmy. So if you're at home and you fancy a wee St Bernard's waltz round the room, there you go. Off you go, Davey, and get Fiona for a wee dance. Yay! Nice wee watch. Lovely wee watch. Seamus, tell me, how did you get into playing for Irish dancing?
Well, yes, I was 10 years of age, and I was doing Irish dancing, and I was at a feis, a competition with my mum. And in those days, if you went to a feis, you had to sit beside your mother and you didn't move the whole day. You got a slap in the back of the head if you moved.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that now.
I know you can't. I know you can't. It was my dancing teacher who was running the feis, the late Francis Teese from Glasgow, and the musicians had gone for lunch, and they hadn't returned. That's all I'm going to say. And she looked down the hall and she saw me sitting beside my mum, and she said, "You, come here." So I went up to run up. I was 10 years of age. She said, "You can play the piano, can't you? You can play a slip jig, can't you? A slip jig, Peter."
There you go.
And I said, "Yes, I can." She said, "Well, sit down there and play." So at 10 years of age, I sat down at the piano and I played a slip jig for the kids to dance to. And then the musicians came back from their lunch and they kind of looked at me and said, "What are you doing here?" And they kind of kicked me off the stage and whatever. But then I was invited back the next feis to have a half hour with them and so on. And that's how I was introduced to playing for Irish dancing.
Wow.
So I was competing in Irish dancing and playing for them up until I was kind of 19 or 20. And then realized there was a bit of money involved in the playing for dancing. So I gave up the dancing and concentrated on playing. And since then, it's just been travel. Absolutely fantastic. China, Russia, Australia, America. I mean, amazing. And
China, Russia, you're going there to play for competitions?
I am, yeah. Going there to play for Irish dancing competitions. The majority of the schools in anywhere other than Britain are usually run by expats who live there. Yeah. And they then get some Irish dance people, not masters, but other Irish dance teachers out from Ireland to do some workshops and teach them how to teach. And so in many countries, it's just kind of a burgeoning talent. So it's just starting to happen. But it's everywhere you look, Irish dancing. It's just everywhere.
Yeah. So to us uneducated a little bit, of course, about playing for Irish dancing, obviously you've got reels, you've got jigs, you've got slip jigs. Is there other tempo?
Okay, yeah, there are. Basically, the Irish dancing is divided into two shoe types: light shoes and heavy shoes. And the heavy shoes do a rhythm like river dance and Lord of the Dance, the sort of clackety stuff. So generally speaking, a championship is the dancers come up 3 at a time and they do 48 bars of a light dance, a reel or a slip jig.
Right.
A mark, but all the judges give them a mark. Then all the dancers come back again 3 at a time or 2 at a time to do a heavy dance. And that's either a heavy jig or a hornpipe. Our Irish dance heavy jig is the one you were talking about earlier on, which is like a waltz miss out number 2. It's like a 6/8 that's slowed down almost to 3/4, to 3/4. But the dancers do all sorts of intricate rhythms within that. So they all come back and do a jig or a hornpipe, and those marks are marked down, and then the 2 marks are added together, and the top so many come back and do a third round, and then the results are given out.
Right.
And my aim when I'm playing a championship is to attempt to not repeat a tune for one round. So if there are 120 kids in the competition and they're on 3 at a time, if I've got 40 tunes in my head, then that's good. And if I run out of tune, I just start at the beginning again. But I try my best not to repeat for two sets of dancers in a row.
Okay.
I mean, the dancer themselves. The dancer themselves
tempo then. Is tempo very important then?
Well, tempo is incredibly important. It's now gotten down to we play to metronomes. Originally, it was the big tick-tock metronomes on top of the piano. Then it moved to credit card size metronomes that you sit on top of the accordion.
Yeah.
It's kind of moved to a drum machine that just gives you a bumpy, an absolute beat, and we play to that. So the reels are played at 113 beats per minute.
Oh, that's fast for a piper.
Yeah.
For a piper, we don't play many reels in B flat, E flat.
But that's really interesting to hear that, though, because we talk about Scottish country dancing and things, and how certain people like. And I wondered if certain areas would dance faster or slower, or if you ever find that. Or,
no, it's not. It's
disciplined.
It's set by the organisation.
Yeah,
the organisation that runs the Irish dancing for whatever area, the timings are set.
Wow.
So, what's your favourite festival been doing that then, or? And do you usually do that solo, or do you do it a couple of years?
It varies. Sometimes they hire two musicians and you've got a lead and a accordion and piano.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just solo because you've got MIDI in the left hand.
Yeah.
It just it depends. Which fesh it is. The
so if
American are very good.
If you've got something like 120 kids or something like that, or something playing, you're talking about solidly sitting playing for a day here, or
No, because you're not. The whole fesh gig day lasts about 14 hours. Yes, I accept that. So it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, but the first 120 kids come up and they all dance. So you're playing possibly for 2 hours with a break in between every set of dancers while they bow and walk up.
Yeah.
And then once they've done that, you can stand up then because the judges have got to write down their marks. So you've got a bit of a break before the next round comes on. But it could be round after round after round for the whole day. So it can be 12 to 14 hours. It's hard work.
It's not.
But it's fun. It's so rewarding, Peter. It's so rewarding if you play music and there's a kid or a dancer on stage. You can tell when they dance well. You can feel it. You can really get it back. And if they come up and say thank you, that's just a real bonus, But you can tell when they dance. If they dance well, it's a good reflection of the music you've played.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with a thank you as well. It's a really nice thing to have. And
absolutely, yeah.
The one person I'm always very careful to thank always is sound engineers.
Absolutely.
Just in case you meet them again, because they're going to kill you if you don't the next time. But it's always good to. But what an interesting thing to see. America's obviously huge for it. It's obviously very big in America. It's amazing that you've done that all your life and toured about and played.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think I've got the dream life, if you like, because I always played as a hobby when I was working as a mental health nurse, and then I managed to get retired out of mental health nursing early, just because the government gave me a gift. I'd retired at 55 on full pension. So I'm now, if you like, living the dream because I'm just playing music and traveling and having a good time. It's just
fabulous.
It's perfect.
That sounds good to me. Right, we're going to go back in time here a wee bit again. We mentioned Gary Blair earlier on. This is you playing some reels. I don't know what year this is. This is a while ago.
This is 1998.
It's not as old as the Shetland one.
No, 1998 Caister. And we were playing. I was just there as a punter and a guest and whatever. And I was playing at the background of Gary Blair's band, and they were playing reels. And I thought, I can do this, and this is what you'll see, and this is what you'll see.
And watch out, there's even a wee bit of dancing going to happen in the middle of this one as well. So that'll please the folk at home.
Okay.
So enjoy. I think we're getting Jeans Reel and Moving Cloud here to begin with, and then the Mason's Apron at the end.
Mason's Apron, yes, you're right enough.
Yeah. Here we go. This is Flying. Very good. Yeah, it goes to the bottom. That's so cool when one of the band just decides to have a dance in the middle of it.
That was great. That was great.
Magic.
Good
Really,
memory.
really good. Tell me, Ceilidh dancing then, do you ever play for that? Did you ever play for Ceilidhs and things
I
as well?
don't actually,
No.
because Irish Ceilidh dancing is an absolute art in itself. A bit like Scottish country dancing and Scottish old time dancing. It's an
Right.
absolute art.
Uh-huh.
And I've kind of chosen to make my avenue Irish step dancing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's a totally different art playing for Ceilidh dancing. So no, I don't. But
Because
thank you
it
for
seems
asking.
to be a big scene, doesn't it, in Ireland
Oh,
as well?
it is. It is.
Ceilidh dance.
I mean, yeah, they do a lot of polkas and slides.
Yeah,
But
and they tend to be quite big bands as well, don't they? They've got a
yes,
number of them and
yes,
some of them. Yeah.
yes.
So I wouldn't have liked to book one. Either that or they only get paid a $5 each. It's one of that kind of things.
I know.
That's more than you, Peter.
More than me. And but that's great. And then you put together the Seamus O'Sullivan experience for
I have, yes, I have.
for the BBC.
I have.
And done the Take the Floor, and that was fantastic. You'd done it with a band. The first time you had no fiddle, am I right? And the second time you did,
You're
it
right.
was all
Yes,
over.
yes.
Yeah.
I just got contacted, and I'll tell you, this is an interesting wee story, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
My son Brian had been my piano player of choice when I was playing fiddle accordion clubs, when it was just piano and box.
Yeah.
Because Brian's a very, very intuitive player. He's he can read what I'm going to do and whatever. And I asked him if he'd be the piano player in the Seamus Sullivan experience. I'd got Ian Cathcart on second box, Neil McMillan on bass, and Gordon Smith on drums. So we had a rehearsal at our house, and Brian was actually working away at the time in Dundee, so he came down for the rehearsal, and he sat down and realised that he had to follow chords and dots up in front of him. And that just wasn't what Brian was comfortable with doing.
No.
Right? And we tried to play a set, and I was just playing what I play, because I'm surrounded by other musicians, and all the other musicians are reading their dots. And Brian was sitting at the piano, and it just eluded him. You know, within the rehearsal, he just had to stand up and say, "I can't do this." You know, if I'm playing with my dad on his own, it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so
I've met a couple of accompanists like that though that are phenomenal accompanists and do what you do, and it takes quite a bit to stand up actually and just say, "Hold, wait a minute, I can't do this." So I'm in great admiration for him to do that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying about Brian. He was big enough to stand up and say, "This is not for me, boys." So that night we'd actually been booked for the recording, and we were having a rehearsal, and I just kind of assumed that Brian would play the piano, but the studio session was already booked, so we had to try and find somebody. And I phoned Duncan Black, and he was delighted to step in, and Duncan became the piano player in the Seamus Sullivan experience. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Just the boys are great. Ian Cathcart just arranges everything. I tell him the tunes we're going to play. He just does all the arranging, and then all the boys just step up to the plate, and that's what we get. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Well, when we're talking about sessions and things, when you were talking about people, and the last track we're going to have tonight from you, Seamus, is one that happened fairly recently, like last night in your house, I think.
There's a friend of mine from Ireland originally. His name's Cormac O'Shea, and he lives in Minneapolis in America. And he was over in Dublin seeing his dad. Cormac was one of the original river dance dancers 25 years ago.
Right.
And he now runs an Irish dance studio in Minneapolis. And he was passing through Glasgow yesterday, and he asked if we could meet up. So he came to the house. We went for a curry. He came back to the house. It was him and his daughter Adrian on flute, my son Brian on piano, and me on box. And we sat down and had a couple of tunes. And once again, the videographer, Monica McCrory, she was on hand to record it. So it's a couple of reels.
I like that, as Davey says, he was passing through Glasgow, as Davey says, just as you do, and all the way to Glasgow to go out for a curry. Can't beat it. Can't beat
Yeah.
it. That is the one thing I miss in the north of Scotland here is the Glasgow curries.
Oh, Peter, it was fantastic. It was really good.
Oh, gee. See, up here, they can't be related, all these people, because see the naan breads up here, they're about eighth the size that they are in.
Oh no, naan breads are this size.
Oh, no, this thing's up here are like wagon wheels. Anyway. But this was great. And there's a couple of tunes here. And the first tune you have heard tonight already, folks.
Yeah,
it was
St.
St. Anfield. That Seamus was playing 30 years ago. He's still playing the same tunes. But that's okay, because somebody said I still tell the same joke, so it doesn't really matter. That's all right. So, and I think it goes into Sally Gardens. I think he's playing it. It was all right. So, this is it, folks. This is what having a wee tune. And I noticed somebody's, what's that? Next party at Heather and Frankie's, Seamus, says Sheila Bain.
That's two neighbours. Heather and Frankie are two neighbours of mine, and Sheila
Bain. Right. So there you go. There's going to be a party. She's planning parties already.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, here we go. This is what happens when you put four musicians together and just have a tune and a bit of crack and enjoy this. This was last night.
Let's look through the keyhole.
Magic. Yeah, you can't really beat it all getting together, can you, and just having a pretty tune.
It was just great. It was just a lovely random night that just happened. In fact, we were sitting at the curry, and the man came over and said, "Do you want some dessert or some coffee?" And Brian and Cormac and myself were all talking, what tune are we going to play first when we get back to the house?
Do you not think, though, when you get these wee things that just happen that were never supposed to happen? I remember when I had the music shop in Shetland, and Perry Willie Johnson was still alive at the time, and he was sitting having a cup of tea, and there was a liner came in, and there was some of the Eastern Bloc musicians on the liner, and one of them came in and he asked for a shot of a fiddle, and he was Bulgarian or something, and he started playing all the Bulgarian folk music. And then the next thing, Perry Willie had a hold of a guitar, and the two of them played for about an hour, just doing all this amazing stuff. And unfortunately, it was in the days before we had mobile phones where we could film it or anything like that. It's just a memory, but when these things do happen, it's pretty special, So, I mean, I think I was entertained by these two guys for about an hour, and I just sat there behind the counter, just amazed, It was just fantastic. Listen, Seamus, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on tonight. You're looking well, and I'm sure you've got...
Thanks very much for that invite. I'm delighted to have been on. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Great fun having you on, and all the best with the radio show. What night did you say the radio show's on for folks? If they want?
The new one is Wednesday night at 6 p.m. on radiogh.co.uk.
There you go, folks.
Various times through the week, but Wednesday night's the new show. So thanks very much, boys. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks very much. Thanks to Brian as well for helping us out earlier on, and all the best to the family. And you take care and stay safe down there. And we'll hopefully see you in person before too long.
I hope so, mate. Hope so.
That'd be good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Seamus. Thanks for tonight. Brilliant. Thank you.
Bye
bye.
I'm going to put you.
Stop touching things.
Well, I was trying to save you there.
Don't
that was great. Brilliant. That's been a magic night. Really good night. Time has flown tonight. That's 2 hours in, just like that in the show.
I know.
Unbelievable. Right, what have you got planned for the rest of the week? Back to the kitchen again, is it?
No. Well, yeah.
No.
Tuesday, I am at Stirling Castle. I am working with Gordon Rowan. We're going through the photographic archives for the Argyll's Book 2.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting.
And then on Thursday, I have the flooring and the splashback arriving for the kitchen.
Stirling Castle to Kitchen. There's a name for a tune for you.
That's the tune I wrote. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's it. Castle to Kitchen.
From the castle to the kitchen.
Something like that. Yeah. That's been brilliant. Thank you very much to Tony Rees tonight, and thanks to others. Tony put a message, and thanks to Tony in South Africa and Seamus in Glasgow. It's been a fantastic variation in music tonight.
Oh yes.
I really hope you've enjoyed it, folks. Keep sharing it about if you want, and you can view it back whenever you want, and it'll be on YouTube. Usually it's on by tomorrow. It kind of loads up. I don't know where it goes to YouTube. It must go around the world a couple of times and then load up or something. Yeah, something like that. So, well, all the best in Stirling Castle. You like hanging about castles, Edinburgh Castle and Stirling Castle.
Never been, Stirling.
Have you not? Oh no, it's nice. I played there one night for a wedding in the Great Hall or something in Stirling Castle. I remember I've never been so cold in all my life. A big wooden door, and there was a draft howling under it the whole night.
Didn't have good joiners in Stirling, do they?
No, Ali, mate. Take Alleyway and get him to put a bit on that door.
A draft excluded.
That needs something. Anyway, right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen out there, for. There's Liam Stewart as well. There's another chap we'll have to get in touch with. Right. Nice to see you there, Liam. Anything else tonight? I don't think there is. I think we shall leave everybody in peace for a little while.
Makes a change.
Yeah. Thanks very much to the guests. Thanks very much to all you folk out there for watching us. Thanks, Davey, for being there and holding it all together. And have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday. Cheers. Cheers. Good night.